They rode into our hearts with grit, charm, and quiet heroism. The Magnificent Seven, not just gunslingers on screen, but legends who helped shape the golden age of Western cinema. While the film became a classic, the real-life journeys of many cast members took darker, more tragic turns. Behind the cowboy hats and revolvers were untimely deaths, sudden illnesses, and personal struggles that ended their lives too soon. In this video, we look back on the unforgettable men who brought these heroes to life, their brightest moments, hidden battles, and the legacies they left behind. Subscribe to our channel and stay with us to the end as we pay tribute to each of these stars. Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner, born on July 11, 1920, in Vladivostok, Russia, portrayed Chris Adams in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, when he was 40 years old. Chris Adams is the calm, commanding leader of the group, a man of principle with a strong sense of justice. With his shaved head, piercing gaze, and dignified presence, Brynner gave the character quiet strength and lasting impact. Yul Brynner rose to fame with his legendary role as the King of Siam in The King and I, earning an Academy Award and worldwide acclaim. Known for commanding royal roles in films like The Ten Commandments and Anastasia, his performance in The Magnificent Seven cemented his place as a Western icon. Off-screen, Brynner's life was shaped by instability. His father abandoned their family, and he was raised by his mother, who moved them to China and later to Paris. He lived many lives before Hollywood, as a circus acrobat, a guitarist, a radio announcer during World War II, and a stage actor. His unique background and magnetic presence made him a natural fit for the screen. But behind the fame, he battled his own demons. He struggled with substance abuse during parts of his career and married 4 times. In 1987, 2 years after his death, tragedy struck his family when his 21-year-old daughter, Lark, died from complications related to cancer, a loss that added another layer of sorrow to his legacy. In 1983, Brynner was diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer, likely caused by a lifetime of heavy smoking. Even in his final days, he remained active and recorded a powerful anti-smoking message shortly before his death. Sadly, on October 10, 1985, he passed away at the age of 65 in New York City. Yul Brynner was laid to rest at the Saint-Michel-de-Bois-Aubry Russian Orthodox monastery in France. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen, born on March 24, 1930, in Indiana, United States, stepped in as Vin Tanner in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, at 30 years old. Vin Tanner is a resourceful and independent gunfighter, often seen handling his Winchester rifle with expertise. McQueen's confident demeanor and subtle scene-stealing antics made him beloved for this role. McQueen's real life was marked by a fierce, rebellious streak born out of a troubled childhood. Abandoned by his father before he was born and left by his mother in various foster homes, McQueen's early years were filled with neglect, violence, and uncertainty. His rough upbringing led him into a life of petty crime before he found his way into the Marine Corps, which offered him a sense of discipline and belonging. His rise to stardom was meteoric, but his personal life was equally volatile. He married 3 times, most famously to actress Ali MacGraw, whom he met on the set of The Getaway. Their passionate, stormy relationship ended in divorce, fueled by McQueen's jealousy and infidelity. He had 2 children, Chad and Terry, from his first marriage, but family life was often overshadowed by his relentless pursuit of fame and struggles with substance abuse. One of the great tragedies of McQueen's life was the loss of his son, Terry, to a heart condition at the age of 10, a grief that haunted him for years. In the late 1970s, McQueen was diagnosed with mesothelioma, likely caused by asbestos exposure, a diagnosis that led him on a desperate search for alternative treatments. He passed away on November 7, 1980, at the age of 50 in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, following surgery to remove tumors, marking a tragic and premature end to his extraordinary life. He was cremated, and his ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean. Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson, born on November 3, 1921, in Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, played Bernardo O'Reilly in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, at age 39. O'Reilly was the tough yet compassionate gunman who bonded with the village children and ultimately gave his life to protect them. Bronson's quiet strength and rugged presence made him unforgettable in the role. He grew up in deep poverty as one of 15 children in a Lithuanian-American coal mining family. After losing his father at age 10, Bronson began working in the mines himself. Later, he served in World War II as a tail gunner in the U.S. Army Air Forces, earning a Purple Heart. After the war, he turned to acting. His rise was slow, often playing silent, hardened characters in war and Western films. But by the late 1960s, his fame exploded with roles in The Dirty Dozen, Once Upon a Time in the West, and Death Wish, making him one of the biggest action stars of the era. In his personal life, Bronson married actress Jill Ireland in 1968. Together, they raised a blended family of 7 children. Their bond was strong, but life brought its share of heartbreak. When Jill died of breast cancer in 1990, it left Bronson devastated. In the years that followed, he withdrew from public life and battled reported addiction to prescription drugs. In his final years, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, which gradually took its toll. Sadly, on August 30th, 2003, he passed away at the age of 81 in Los Angeles from pneumonia and complications related to the disease. He was buried at Brownsville Cemetery in West Windsor, Vermont, leaving behind a legacy of grit and silent power. Eli Wallak. Eli Wallak was born December 7, 1915, in Brooklyn, New York. At 45, he played Calvera, the sly and ruthless bandit leader in The Magnificent Seven. Loud, clever, and dangerously charming, Wallach's performance made Calvera unforgettable, even among the film's all-star cast. Eli Wallak grew up in an Italian neighborhood and originally planned to become a teacher. But after serving as a medic in World War II, he followed his heart into acting, building a career as one of Hollywood's most respected character actors. Wallach never fit the typical leading man image, but he stole scenes with pure talent. His role as Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly became iconic, and he impressed in films like Baby Doll, The Misfits, and The Godfather Part 3. His career spanned more than 6 decades. In 1948, he married actress Ann Jackson. Their marriage lasted until his death, a rare feat in Hollywood. Together, they raised 3 children, Peter, Catherine, and Roberta, and remained a close, loving family. Wallach's life had his share of hardships. In the 1950s, he lost his brother to a sudden illness, a loss that hit him hard. In the 1980s, he developed severe arthritis, which made acting physically painful. But he kept going. On June 24, 2014, Eli Wallak passed away peacefully in New York City at the age of 98. He died of natural causes and was cremated, with his ashes returned to his family. Horst Buchholz. Horst Buchholz, born on December 4, 1933 in Berlin, Germany, portrayed Chico in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, when he was 27 years old. Chico is a young, eager Mexican man aspiring to be a gunslinger. He's portrayed as hot-blooded, somewhat naive, but full of passion. A character who joins the Seven seeking purpose and respect as they protect a village from ruthless bandits. Buchholz's energy and charm gave the role a youthful spirit that stood out among a cast of seasoned stars. His life began in the harsh realities of post-war Berlin, where he was raised in poverty and chaos. After his father left the family, young Horst was placed in a foster home during World War II. Acting became his escape from those difficult years, and by the 1950s, he had become a rising star in European cinema, often compared to James Dean for his raw intensity and emotional depth. In 1958, he married French actress Myriam Bru, and together they had 2 children, Christopher and Beatrice. But his growing career kept him away from home for long stretches, and the couple endured long periods of separation. Despite early success, Buchholz's later career failed to live up to its early promise. He struggled to find meaningful roles and grew increasingly disillusioned with the industry. In 1984, a near-fatal car accident left him badly injured. The recovery process was long and painful, and he never fully regained his former strength. His emotional health declined as well, particularly after his wife was diagnosed with cancer. In his final years, he battled deep depression and withdrew from public life. Buchholz died unexpectedly at the age of 69 on March 3, 2003, at Charité from pneumonia that developed after an operation for a hip fracture. James Coburn. James Coburn, born on August 31, 1928 in Laurel, Nebraska, stepped into the Magnificent Seven as Brit at 32 years old. Brit was a quiet but deadly gunslinger, known for his unmatched knife skills and cool, composed demeanor that masked a fierce spirit. Coburn's presence on screen was magnetic, despite having few lines. He let his calm confidence speak for itself. His early life was marked by challenges, including a speech impediment that he eventually overcame, a struggle that helped shape the distinctive, gravelly voice he became known for. After serving in the U.S. Army, he studied acting at the University of Southern California, setting the stage for his rise in Hollywood. His career spanned decades with standout roles in The Great Escape, Our Man Flint, and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. But his road to fame wasn't without struggle. Coburn battled bouts of depression and endured a turbulent marriage to actress Beverly Kelly, with whom he had 2 children. He also dealt with personal grief, including the death of his close friend Steve McQueen, which deeply affected him. In later years, he suffered from a severe form of arthritis that left him in chronic pain and sidelined his acting career. He eventually found relief through alternative therapies and made a powerful comeback in the late 90s, earning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Affliction. Sadly, on November 18, 2002, James Coburn passed away from a heart attack at the age of 74 in Beverly Hills, California. He was laid to rest at Westwood Memorial Park, Westwood, Los Angeles, California. A quiet farewell for a man whose calm intensity made him one of Hollywood's most unforgettable leading men. Robert Vaughn. Robert Vaughn, born on November 22, 1932, in New York City, portrayed Lee in The Magnificent Seven at age 28. Lee was a former gunfighter haunted by his past, elegant in manner but burdened with fear and doubt, a reflection of deeper internal battles. Vaughn brought a quiet intensity to the role, making the character memorable with his conflicted soul and sharp delivery. Raised by his mother, a stage actress, after his parents separated, Vaughn's early years were shaped by instability and longing. Though drawn to the spotlight, he was deeply intellectual and earned a PhD in communications. His rise to fame was steady, but he often found himself typecast, struggling to break out from the suave, well-dressed roles that followed his success in The Man from UNCLE. Behind the charm and polished exterior, Vaughn carried personal weight. He never knew his father and had a complicated relationship with fame, often critical of Hollywood's superficiality. His private life remained quiet. He married later in life and adopted 2 children, seeking the stability he lacked growing up. In his later years, Vaughn faced serious health battles, including a fight with leukemia that he kept largely private. Despite the illness, he continued working, determined to remain active in the craft he loved. On November 11, 2016, just days before his 84th birthday, he passed away in Ridgefield, Connecticut, from leukemia. Vaughn was cremated and his ashes were scattered. Brad Dexter. Brad Dexter, born Boris Milanovich on April 9, 1917 in Goldfield, Nevada, portrayed Harry Luck in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, at the age of 43. Harry was the fortune-seeking gunman, driven less by heroism and more by the hope of a hidden reward, a role Dexter played with a rugged charm that added depth to the ensemble cast. Born to Serbian immigrant parents, Dexter's early life was marked by cultural dislocation and economic hardship. He served with distinction in World War II as a military police officer, an experience that instilled in him a quiet toughness that would define his screen presence. Though never as famous as his co-stars, Dexter carved out a steady career in Hollywood, often playing tough, no-nonsense characters. Off-screen, Dexter is perhaps best remembered for a single real-life act of heroism, saving Frank Sinatra from drowning in 1964. The event earned him Sinatra's lasting gratitude and a brief position in his inner circle, though their friendship later cooled due to business conflicts. He also worked behind the scenes as a producer, often struggling to be taken seriously in a world that viewed him as a secondary player. Dexter's personal life was not without sorrow. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second wife, singer Peggy Lee's former secretary, Mary Bogdanovich, died young, leaving him widowed. He never remarried and spent his later years largely out of the spotlight. Brad Dexter passed away on December 11, 2002, in Rancho Mirage, California, at the age of 85, after a series of health complications. He was laid to rest at Desert Memorial Park, leaving behind a legacy not of stardom, but of loyalty, bravery, and quiet resilience. Jorge Martinez de Hoyos. Jorge Martinez de Hoyos, born on September 25, 1920, in Mexico City, played the role of Hilario, the wise village elder, in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, when he was 40 years old. His character, calm yet courageous, was the voice of the oppressed farmers, and Martinez brought quiet strength and dignity to the role, leaving a lasting impression despite limited screen time. Born into a family of modest means, Martinez faced numerous hardships growing up in post-revolutionary Mexico. These early struggles forged in him a deep resilience and a quiet determination. He developed a passion for the performing arts and rose through the ranks of Mexican theater and cinema, eventually earning roles in acclaimed works like The Children of Sanchez. His personal life, however, was marked by emotional trials. His marriage ended in divorce, and he was left to raise his children on his own. The most devastating blow came with the loss of his eldest son, a tragedy that deeply wounded him and left an emotional scar he carried for the rest of his life. Despite these hardships, Martinez remained committed to his craft, acting well into his later years even as he battled serious health issues. He passed away from lung cancer on May 6, 1997, at the age of 76 in Mexico City. He was laid to rest in his homeland, remembered not only for his talent, but for the quiet warmth and humanity he brought to every role. Vladimir Sokalov. Vladimir Sokalov, born on December 26, 1889, in Moscow, Russia, played the old man in The Magnificent Seven at 71 years old. As the wise village patriarch who first pleads for help from the gunman, Sokolov's performance added quiet gravity to the film, his presence embodying both suffering and strength. Sokolov's life was a journey marked by exile and resilience. A respected stage actor in Russia, he was forced to flee during the Russian Revolution. He lived in Germany and France before eventually settling in the United States, escaping both political unrest and the rise of fascism in Europe. Each migration meant starting over, often with nothing but his talent and determination. He worked tirelessly in Hollywood, often cast in ethnic roles due to his accent and appearance, but he brought remarkable depth to every performance. Despite decades in the industry, he never reached leading man status, a quiet frustration for an actor of his caliber. Vladimir Sokalov passed away from a stroke on February 15, 1962, at the age of 72, just 2 years after The Magnificent Seven. Though not a household name, his legacy lives on in the quiet dignity he brought to a character who symbolized courage in the face of fear. Rosenda Monteros. Rosenda Monteros, born on August 31, 1935, in Veracruz, Mexico, stepped in as Petra when she was 25 years old. As the spirited young woman from the village who connects emotionally with Chico, her role brought a rare sense of warmth and humanity to a film otherwise centered around violence and gunfighters. Monteros studied drama under renowned director Seki Sano and quickly made her mark as one of Mexico's most promising actresses. She found success in both Mexican cinema and international productions, but her path was not without struggles. She often spoke about the challenges she faced as a Latina woman trying to navigate roles in a male-dominated industry, especially during a time when typecasting was rampant. Behind the camera, her personal life had its share of turbulence. Her brief marriage to director Julio Brasho ended in divorce, and she never remarried. Though she had no children, she remained deeply committed to her craft, often choosing the stage over more lucrative opportunities in television and film. In her later years, Monteros withdrew from the spotlight, focusing on theater and mentoring young actors. She quietly battled illness and kept much of her private suffering away from the public eye. On December 29, 2018, Rosenda Monteros passed away at the age of 83, leaving behind a powerful legacy, remembered for the grace, strength, and dignity she brought to every role she touched. Bing Russell. Bing Russell, born May 5, 1926, in Brattleboro, Vermont, appeared in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, as Robert, one of the villagers. He was 34 years old at the time. Though his role was small, his presence contributed to the heart and humanity of the film's ensemble. Raised in modest surroundings, Bing's fascination with film began early. As a child, he spent time around movie sets in Hollywood, even forming a bond with legendary players like Lou Gehrig, an early brush with fame that inspired his future. He carved out a dependable career in film and television, often cast in westerns, with appearances in series like Bonanza and films like Rio Bravo. He became known for his reliability and warmth on screen, even if stardom always hovered just out of reach. Off-camera, Bing married dancer Louise Julia Crone, and together they raised 4 children, including actor Kurt Russell, whom Bing supported passionately through his Hollywood rise. Family was central to Bing's life, and he also poured energy into founding an independent minor league baseball team, the Portland Mavericks, where he championed the overlooked and underdog, a philosophy that reflected his own journey in Hollywood. In his later years, Bing faced health struggles but remained devoted to both family and storytelling. He passed away from cancer on April 8, 2003 at the age of 76, leaving a legacy rich in heart, humility, and perseverance. Pepe Hernandez, Pepe Hearn, born on June 6, 1927 in New Jersey, USA, took on a small but memorable role as Hoyos, one of the villagers in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, when he was 33 years old. Though his screen time was limited, his presence added authenticity to the village's plight and helped ground the emotional weight of the story. Raised in a working-class Hispanic family, Hearn grew up facing the harsh realities of discrimination and limited opportunity in mid-20th century America. His passion for performance led him to the stage before transitioning into film and television, where he frequently took roles that highlighted the Latino experience, often portraying farmers, workers, or community elders with quiet dignity. Despite his talent, Hearn struggled to break out of the typecasting that defined much of his career. While he never achieved major stardom, he was deeply respected by peers for his professionalism and humility. Off-screen, Hearn was a devoted family man, though he endured long periods of financial instability that tested his resilience. Later in life, as health issues began to take their toll, he gradually stepped away from acting. He passed away on February 28, 2009, at the age of 81. Though never a household name, Pepe Hearn is remembered for the honesty he brought to every role and for giving voice to the everyday men often forgotten in Hollywood's golden age. Rico Alanis. Rico Alanis, born October 25, 1919, in Juarez, Mexico, stepped in as Sotero when he was 41 years old. His role, though brief, remains memorable. Rico grew up in Los Angeles, raised in an immigrant household that valued hard work and artistic expression, a foundation that guided his long journey in entertainment. Alanis built a steady career over 6 decades, appearing in a wide range of film and television roles, including titles like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and The Untouchables. Despite professional success, he endured a deep personal tragedy when his first wife died in a car accident, a loss that weighed heavily on him for years. In time, he found love again, marrying actress Maria Elena Marquez, and together they had a son, Rico Jr. Alanis remained committed to acting, working late into life, and witnessed firsthand the slow transformation of Latino representation in Hollywood. He passed away from natural causes on March 9, 2015, at the age of 95. Though never a household name, Rico Alanis left behind a legacy defined by endurance, integrity, and quiet strength on screen. Wit Bissell. Wit Bissell, born October 25, 1909 in New York City, appeared briefly as Chamley in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, when he was 50 years old. Though his role was small, his presence contributed to the film's grounded realism. Raised in a family of educators, Bissell originally considered a path in academia before the stage called to him. He built a steady acting career across film and television, becoming a familiar face in classics like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Time Machine, and countless TV appearances through the 1950s and 60s. Behind the camera, Bissell wrestled with emotional wounds. His first marriage ended in a difficult divorce that left him shaken. He later remarried and found greater stability, raising 2 children, though he continued to carry the weight of his earlier struggles. A tragic loss in his family, the death of a sibling, haunted him deeply. In his final years, Bissell faced a slow decline in health after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He passed away on March 5, 1996, at the age of 86. Though rarely in the spotlight, Wit Bissell left behind a long and enduring legacy built on consistency, depth, and quiet resilience. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tribute, please subscribe and share your favorite Magnificent Seven moment in the comments. Let's keep their legacy alive.